It is mid-1944, and Allied armored forces are advancing eastward across France after the Normandy landings. Tanks, infantry, and mechanized units move through hedgerow country, open fields, and small forests, constantly threatened by hidden anti-tank guns, mines, and ambushes. Commanders urge caution, emphasizing coordination and patience. Into this tense and fluid battlefield steps our tank commander, experienced but constrained by orders. He understands the stakes. Following strict orders may prevent mistakes, but indecision could cost lives. The ground shifts beneath him, and the enemy is alert, making observation and timing critical. In the coming minutes, his choices will determine the fate of not just his tank but 3 Allied units nearby. The commander leads a medium tank, part of a larger battalion company supporting infantry and mechanized formations. He knows the terrain intimately. Hedgerows, orchards, rolling hills, and narrow lanes all offer both opportunity and danger. The enemy has a reputation for ambushes and anti-tank tactics, and visibility is paramount. His tank is equipped with smoke-generating capability, but doctrine restricts its use to planned withdrawals or defensive screens. Still, the immediacy of the threat forces him to consider options outside standard procedures. Every second counts, and the success of multiple units depends on his ability to act decisively. He weighs risk versus reward, knowing that hesitation could lead to disaster. 3 units are under potential threat. The first is a tank or armored infantry company moving ahead but vulnerable to flanking fire. The second is an infantry battalion following behind, relying on the first unit for cover and support. The third is a mechanized or supply element moving up to support the front lines, exposed if the advance stalls. The tank commander occupies a pivotal position on the flank, meaning that any maneuver he undertakes could affect the outcome for all 3 formations. Failure to act decisively could result in encirclement, loss of cohesion, and potentially catastrophic casualties. Understanding this, he scans the battlefield for a tactical solution. Enemy forces begin to act. Concealed anti-tank guns and small arms positions open fire from hidden hedgerows and wooded areas, immediately threatening the first unit. The infantry battalion behind them is slowed by natural obstacles, losing line of sight contact with the lead units. The mechanized support lags, its path increasingly risky. The commander realizes that adhering strictly to orders, waiting for higher command, will likely allow the enemy to envelop his units. The battlefield is changing faster than communications can keep up. He must make a split-second decision to protect his fellow soldiers and maintain the integrity of the advance. In that critical moment, he decides to deploy smoke, an action technically unauthorized under existing doctrine. Using smoke grenades or engine exhaust, he creates a dense screen that obscures the enemy's line of sight and conceals movement along the flank. The smoke spreads across the threatened corridor, disrupting the enemy's observation posts and gun crews. This improvisation is risky. If mismanaged, it could expose his own unit or confuse friendly forces. Yet the tank commander judges the risk carefully. The screen buys precious seconds and alters the battlefield dynamic, giving Allied units a chance to reposition and advance under cover. The first unit, cloaked by the thick smoke, begins to reposition safely. Tanks and infantry advance under this veil, minimizing casualties and slipping past potential ambushes. The tank commander carefully positions his vehicle to cover their movement, targeting any exposed enemy positions to further shield the unit. Soldiers at the forefront feel a surge of relief as the threat from hidden anti-tank fire fades. The smoke grants the first unit the precious chance to regroup, reorganize, or push forward without fear of immediate encirclement. One daring decision has already begun to tilt the momentum on this stretch of the battlefield. Every second counts, and the hum of engines and distant gunfire underscores the peril surrounding them. The men exchange tense glances, aware that any misstep could unravel their fragile advantage. Yet, in this fleeting cover, hope sparks, a glimpse of control in the chaos of war. The second unit, the infantry battalion, receives signals to move through the corridor now protected by smoke. Visibility is limited, but the obscuration provides safety. Hesitation among enemy observers gives the battalion room to advance and link up with the first unit. Coordination between the units becomes smoother under the screen, as confusion and risk are minimized. The tank commander continues to monitor the flank, adjusting smoke coverage and providing suppressive fire when needed. What could have been a vulnerable bottleneck becomes a controlled passageway for advancing forces. Soldiers press forward cautiously, senses heightened, aware that the enemy could still strike if the cover falters. The rhythmic crunch of boots and the low rumble of engines become a heartbeat of determination, carrying the battalion safely onward. Meanwhile, the 3rd unit, consisting of mechanized or supply vehicles, also benefits from the improvised screen. Its vehicles are slower, making them easy targets if exposed. Smoke conceals movement, ensuring supplies and reinforcements reach the front lines. The commander's decision prevents a disruption of logistics and maintains cohesion across the formation. Each unit's survival and continued operational ability is linked to the screen. What started as an unauthorized action now proves to be a decisive intervention, stabilizing multiple layers of the battlefield simultaneously. Drivers navigate cautiously, aware that even a single lapse could expose them to deadly fire. The hidden convoy moves steadily forward, a lifeline threading through the chaos of war. The enemy's response is immediate but ineffective. Anti-tank crews attempt to aim through the dense smoke but struggle, while observers lose line of sight and hesitate. Their decision-making slows as uncertainty grows. Some reposition, some hold fire, others misinterpret the direction of the advance. The tank commander's calculated risk has disrupted their coordination, giving Allied forces the opportunity to exploit the temporary confusion. The initial flanking threat loses its immediacy, buying critical time for all 3 units to move safely and regain stability. Radio chatter crackles with cautious optimism as commanders reassess positions under the new conditions. Soldiers exchange quick nods, sensing the shift in momentum. Even the enemy's disciplined formations now seem fractured, offering a fleeting but vital advantage. With the threat mitigated, the units begin to consolidate their positions. The tank commander holds his station, maintaining the smoke cover while the 1st unit resets and reorganizes. The 2nd unit links up and secures the flank, while the 3rd unit completes its advance behind the smokescreen. Supply lines remain intact, casualties are minimized, and command can now proceed with planned operations rather than reacting to crises. The battlefield, once in jeopardy, is stabilized through decisive action and improvisation. Soldiers take a moment to catch their breath, scanning the horizon for lingering threats. The hum of engines and distant gunfire fades slightly, replaced by a tense calm. Every officer and enlisted man senses the hard-won advantage, knowing it may only last as long as their vigilance holds. After the action, the tank commander reflects on the decision. He recognizes that his initiative breached standard orders, but acknowledges the tangible benefits. 3 units remain intact, and momentum is maintained. He analyzes what worked: timely deployment, coordination with adjacent units, proper placement of smoke, and use of terrain. He also notes the risks that could have turned the maneuver into a disaster: misdirected smoke, misidentification by friendly forces, or sudden enemy counteraction. The reflection balances risk with reward, emphasizing judgment under pressure. He understands that in the chaos of battle, rigid adherence to orders can sometimes hinder success. The weight of responsibility presses on him, but so does the quiet pride in saving lives. This moment cements a hard-earned lesson in leadership, initiative, and the thin line between daring and recklessness. Higher command receives reports. Some officers question the unauthorized use of tactics, while others are relieved by the positive outcome. The 3 units are preserved, the flank remains secure, and the advance continues. The chain of command must weigh the breach of protocol against battlefield success. In this case, the risk was justified, and initiative is recognized as essential in fast-moving situations. The incident becomes an example of balancing doctrine with flexible decision-making under pressure. Debriefings dissect every choice, every timing, every placement of smoke, emphasizing lessons for future engagements. Officers note how rapid assessment and decisive action can turn potential disaster into advantage. The event sparks discussion across units about empowering leaders on the ground while maintaining overall strategic cohesion. Lessons emerge from the engagement. Initiative on fluid battlefields can save lives and preserve cohesion. Smoke, when used creatively, can conceal movement, disrupt enemy observation, and protect multiple units. Coordination and communication remain essential to maximize effectiveness. Terrain, timing, and weather factors influence tactical decisions, and measured risk-taking can produce decisive advantages. The commander's improvisation illustrates the value of human judgment alongside rigid doctrine, demonstrating how small actions can have outsized effects. After-action reports highlight that training, experience, and situational awareness are as critical as firepower. Soldiers and officers alike gain a renewed appreciation for adaptability under stress. The engagement becomes a teaching tool, reinforcing that innovation and courage can shape outcomes even in the most chaotic scenarios. The impact of the maneuver extends beyond the immediate fight. By preserving 3 units, the tank commander maintains manpower, armor, and momentum that could otherwise have been lost. Supply lines remain functional, allowing subsequent operations to continue unhindered. Small tactical decisions like this, repeated across multiple engagements, cumulatively influence the larger campaign. The smoke trick symbolizes the subtle, human-driven elements of warfare that often determine survival and operational success, shaping the course of the campaign in Normandy and beyond. Commanders studying the battle note how adaptive thinking can amplify strategic outcomes. Even a single moment of courage, executed correctly, can ripple through the chain of operations with lasting effect. Ultimately, this story is about leadership under pressure. The tank commander made a rapid, informed decision that deviated from protocol but protected lives and preserved operational integrity. His unauthorized smoke trick transformed a potentially catastrophic scenario into a controlled and survivable one. Veterans and historians recognize the importance of such human judgment in war. Doctrine is essential, but flexibility, courage, and initiative often determine the outcome. The smokescreen, seemingly a small action, became the difference between disaster and preservation, illustrating the profound impact of decisive leadership in combat. His actions serve as a lasting example for future officers facing split-second choices. In the end, courage and ingenuity on the ground can shape battles, campaigns, and even history itself.